All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first meeting of this new year. This is the meeting of this is a regular session of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors. We'll also be sitting as all special taxing districts. And this is the meeting of January the 4th, 2021. It's 9 a.m. This is a call to order. And the first item in the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask Supervisor, Pancras. I'm so used to putting Supervisor McLeod in the spot that
Will
I
you
jumped
join
on.
me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Supervisor. All right, so this is
Now,
the,
excuse me, Mr.
what is it?
Previous chair. As the clerk of the board, since we don't have a chair or vice chair at the start of the year, I'll call the item for election of the 2021 chairman and vice chairman. The board will open each of the following items separately for discussion and action as appropriate. So first, the action is to elect a Yuma County Board of Supervisors chairman for calendar year 2021. I'd like to call for nominations for chairman.
I'd like to propose Tony Reyes for chair.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? I'd like to have a motion and a second to close nominations.
I move to close nominations.
I'll second.
All right, we've had a motion and a second to close nominations. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, I'd like to call for a vote on the first nominee. All those in favor of Tony Reyes as chairman, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, the vote is 5-0 for Mr. Tony Reyes to be chairman. And now I'll turn it over to the chairman to do the next item. Thank you.
You know,
I don't think she heard me.
if Russ was here, he'd say
Yeah,
no.
Russell would want a recount if it was there.
He misses Russell already because he doesn't have a minute. You're going to have to start filling in that spot, Jonathan, make sure you make a comment every time. Russell always made a comment.
Thought I'd keep a low profile for the first meeting.
Okay, good. Okay.
That's what we got you below over there, for
Yeah,
the low
I can see
profile.
that.
Yeah, this way I can reach you with this.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm supposed to step in and follow out through the process of nominations for vice chair. I'll call a motion for vice chair.
I move Martine Porches for vice chair.
I'll second that nomination. Any other nominations? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close nominations.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to close nominations. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
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 Anybody opposed?
Aye.
I'll now take a vote on the I'll call for a vote on the nominee. All those in favor of Supervisor Porches being the vice chair signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
He
That
opposed
sounded
it.
like a painful aye from Vice Chairman Porches, but we'll take it. Okay, that takes care of selecting the chair and the vice chair for this coming year, or for this year. It's not coming year, it's already here, fortunately. So we're gonna move on the agenda to the presentations, proclamations, and appointments. During this segment of the agenda, board members may discuss the presentations and proclamations and may announce appointments to the Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission and the Yuma County Board of Adjustments. No legal action will be taken. I will take the opportunity to appoint Matias Rosales for the Planning and Zoning Commission, to reappoint him. I've contacted him and he said he's okay, he will serve another term, so I just want to make that announcement. Anybody else has any announcements to make or appointments to make?
Tony.
Yes? Supervisor?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
You have skipped over the call to the public.
I'll go back to it.
Thank you.
All right, so I am going to go ahead and finish up this section by calling for the presentation of the county line, and then I'll go back to the call to the public. I did seem to have skipped the call to the public. I was so nervous about
Welcome to your County Line 2021. As we're now stepping into a new year, your county government is poised better than ever to provide the services you've come to expect. As we look forward to the coming year, we're going to take a look back over 2020, where we experienced a new way of serving the community. Early in 2020, Yuma County, as well as the rest of the nation, had to adjust how business was conducted when COVID-19 became prevalent in our area. Despite the fact that this new virus created a threat to the community, Yuma County still carried on in its mission to serve the public. The county teamed up with several agencies to provide testing and PPE for the residents and healthcare workers in our area. The county health department recently started the vaccination process with first responders. As this virus continues to be present, Yuma County will remain proactive to help minimize the risk that lies ahead. Yuma County's grants team was busy last year with their housing rehabilitation program, which was able to help out some county residents in need. The goal of the housing rehabilitation program is to alleviate immediate health and safety issues in homes of low to moderately income families that pose or would pose a serious threat to the health and safety of the occupants. Typical repairs are the replacement of water heaters, heating and cooling systems, roofing, septic systems, and plumbing and electrical repairs. But in some cases, a home can be completely torn down and rebuilt, regardless of the reason or complexity of the repairs. Those that qualify for this program are overwhelmed by the final outcome. Our Public Works Department also made some changes with technology to improve how they collect accurate road reports. Officially, it's called the RST, but is better known as Laser Road Surface Tester. Public Works teamed up with Infrastructure Management Services, a firm in Tempe, to complete a detailed inventory and condition rating of all roadways that our Public Works Department maintains. These Laser Road Surface Tester vehicles traveled many Yuma County roads, sort of like the Google Maps vehicle you may have seen. They collected data specifically about the road you're driving on. About 14 years ago, the Yuma County Public Fiduciary identified an issue that eventually would become a much larger problem. Part of the duties of this office are to provide burial services to those who have no one to care for them in their darkest hour. But Candy Wheeler Ruby recognized their office was not going to have a suitable place to provide burial services, as property was running out at the cemetery. After years of research and development, Candy worked with the county administrator and board of supervisors to have a columbarium built. Back in September, the Public Fiduciary's office held a small private ceremony at the new columbarium, transferring 10 sets of remains into the compartments that are now a final resting place. Even though public events had to be canceled or delayed because of the coronavirus, Yuma County still wanted to recognize the Employee of the Year, Court Employee of the Year, and Safety Excellence Award winner. Last year in August, during a board meeting, the winners were recognized for their achievements. James Franco received the Safety Excellence Award. He is a detention supervisor with the Juvenile Court. Katie Strom, a judicial assistant at Superior Court, was awarded the 2019 Yuma County Court Employee of the Year. And finally, the 2019 Yuma County Employee went to Rosa Castillo, who served as an indigent burial specialist for the Yuma County Public Fiduciary's office and for Yuma County's financial department. Thank you all for your service. The 2020 presidential election gripped the nation as voters turned out in record numbers to cast a ballot. In Yuma County, most people chose to vote by early ballot and by using our vote center set up on Main Street. Conducting an election in the midst of a pandemic was no easy task for the Yuma County Recorder. Safety protocols had to be developed, new vote center locations had to be found to allow social distancing, along with reconfiguring others for the same reason. County Recorder and election staff, in addition to normal supplies, had to deliver additional protective equipment. an unprecedented demand for early mail-in ballots. With more than 75,000 requested, additional temporary staff had to be hired and trained. As we start the new year, we wanted to say goodbye to some familiar faces and hello to some new ones. Yuma County thanked 2 longtime officials for their service and dedication. Russell McLeod had been a member of the Board of Supervisors since 2004. His great work as a supervisor will be remembered for years to come. Jonathan Lyons will take his place as the newest supervisor on the board. Joe Worley had been with Yuma County since 1977, serving the assessor for the last 28 years. Victoria Morris Clarkson, who worked next to Joe for the last 19 years, was elected to be the next assessor for Yuma County. 2020 was a busy year, and those are just a few of the many stories we brought you. We'll continue to cover stories you might be interested in, and as always, if you have any ideas or suggestions, we love hearing from you. We'll see you next time.
All right, that takes care of that part of the presentation. And as I had skipped call to the public, I'm gonna go back and open that up. Call to the public is held for the public's benefit to allow individuals to address issues within the board's jurisdiction. Board members may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to Arizona revised statutes, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to criticism, or scheduling the matter for further discussion and a decision at a future date. Anyone who's concerned about COVID-19 and does not want to be put into an open setting can submit an email, call to the public statement at publiccomment@yumacountyaz.gov. These email forms of public comments will be accepted until 8 a.m. the morning of the meeting. All public comments will be read aloud during the Yuma County Board of Supervisors meeting that starts at 9 a.m. Do we have any emails? No, we don't. Is there anyone here that wants to address the board from the public? If not, I'm gonna leave the public, the call to the public open throughout the meeting, so if somebody shows up a little late and still wants to address the board, there'll be an opportunity to do so. So thank you very much. And I do wanna say something before we move on. We are trying to keep these meetings as short as possible, so we're trying to be as efficient as possible and to keep this meeting as short as possible during these periods of time where we're asking people not to congregate, where we're asking people not to get together. So if you see us moving through this agendas pretty fast, it's part of that effort to keep the meetings as short as possible. So that goes to the new member, so he doesn't discuss too much, you know. We don't have an opportunity to train him that well before the meeting, so we're gonna have to do it during the meeting. Jonathan, before we move on, we just want to welcome you. I personally want to welcome you to the board, and I know that you have very big shoes to fill, but they're okay. The shoes are, we kept the shoes, so you may want to try them on later, but
Thank you.
you know, but welcome, and you know, looking forward to working with you on all these things that are important to the residents of Yuma County.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so we'll then move on. We finished at least the process of call to the public. We had presentations, proclamations, and appointments. I did make an appointment. Is there anyone that needs to make an appointment?
I'm sorry, I missed your appointment.
Oh, it was, I was gonna say Martin Porchas again, but it's Matias Rosales as the Planning and Zoning, to the Planning and Zoning Commission for the next term, okay? I did check with him. He did agree to continue serving, so. The next item in the agenda is the consent calendar. The consent calendar is where the following items are listed under the consent agenda, and they will be considered as a group and acted upon one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member so requests. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. Supervisor Porchas, are you still there?
I'm still on the phone.
All right, good. We're gonna move on to the consent agenda. And there are items 1 through 9. Are there any items that any board member wants to pull? You know, I'd like to pull the number 8, the South Somerton area drainage item, just for a couple of comments. Is there anybody else that wants to pull any items? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 9 with the exception of number 8.
So moved.
We'll let the new member, second a couple of motions.
I'll second that.
All right, there we go. There's a motion and a second to approve the consent calendars, item 1 through 9, with the exception of item number 8. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
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 Anybody
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Then I'll open up item number 8. I did this in deference to Supervisor Porches because it's in the Somerton area. You know, it's been a while. Let me open it up by actually mentioning what it's about. It's to award the construction contract for the South Somerton area drainage improvement project to Gutierrez Canales Engineering PC in the amount of $4,033,761.51 and authorize the county engineer to sign the contract. Now, I opened it up because it's a project that's been going on for a while, and you know we finally got to that point. And you know, just a couple of questions: is Gutierrez Canales Engineering now doing a lot of construction? Is this more than an engineering contract? Are they now a regular contractor?
Yes, they do have a construction company that has bid on and been successful with various entities, including the city of Yuma and San Luis, and also the Greater Yuma Port Authority.
Yeah, I was always aware that, you know, I know that they're an engineering firm. I just didn't realize they could do that. Supervisor Porches, this is in your district. It's in the city that you were a mayor of. Is there do you want to make any comments about it, or do you want to show your gratitude?
Mr. Chair, yes. I just wanted to say this will definitely help the city of Somerton. I remember before the county did the north part of the city of Somerton, when as you all know, we don't get much rain here in Yuma County, but when we do, I mean it pours. And when the drainage deal was done in the north part, it really helped all those areas that got flooded when it rained a lot. And this part will, on the south side, it will definitely help improve all those areas that get flooded when we get those storms in the summer that drop 2 to 3 inches in less than an hour. So yeah, I'm happy that this is moving forward. I'm glad it didn't take as long as the project there on Avenue 8 by the COFA. So that's good.
Yeah, it's really nice to see it happen. I think that the flood control district has a lot of projects in different locations, but and people don't think about floods in Yuma County that much. They think it's dry, but when it rains, it does get serious in some of these areas. I know the Gadsden area has a flood control project coming soon that basically when it floods between the road and the canal, it becomes a sort of a retention area. So, these flood control projects are pretty expensive and pretty large. They happen in the cities of Somerton and San Luis a lot, in the foothills. Foothills has a lot of projects that need to be done to protect people's properties. So anyway, I just wanted to give an opportunity to Supervisor Porches to talk a little bit about Somerton and to, again, thank the people that work in the flood control district for getting some of these projects up in front of us and finally get them to us so we can approve them. It is a sizable project, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the project as presented.
I will make that motion.
Don't move.
Okay, well, all right, so there was a motion from Supervisor Porches, I'll take, and a second from, who was it on this side? Was it Jonathan? Supervisor Lyons, to approve the item as presented, number 8. Any discussion? If no more discussion, all those in favor of the item signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. I'm sorry, I got to give you a little more time, Supervisor Porches, to vote. This is the last item from the consent calendar. We'll move on to discussion and action items, where the board will open each of the following items separately for discussion and action as appropriate. First item is County Administration Public Health Services District. It's discussion and possible action regarding COVID-19 updates and activities.
Good morning, Chairman Reyes, members of the board. My name is Diana Gomez. I'm the Director of Public Health. Just to give you a quick update, we started our vaccination clinics. As you know, we had 4,800 doses allocated to Yuma County. We're pretty much working our way through that. We're currently vaccinating 1A, which is healthcare providers, anybody that has direct contact, anybody that works in a supporting capacity providing direct services to patients. So we are wrapping up those clinics this week, and so I urge everyone who has not signed up for their appointment to please go to the ADHS portal, sign up, register for your appointment if you are currently eligible under the 1A prioritization right now so that you get your vaccine. We are planning to work with the state health department to start phasing in 1B, which is the next priority group. And so we want to make sure we get everybody that's a healthcare worker vaccinated now, because once we move on, they still have an opportunity to get vaccinated, of course, but no longer will be prioritized. So it'll just blend in with everybody else in the 1B group. So please make sure that you do that. We've had an excellent response to that. We have gone mostly through all our vaccinations. The CDC will be allocating additional vaccine as we get it. Our goal is to continue to push it out. In addition to having the vaccination sites at the health department, we want to make sure that vaccination remains equitable and accessible throughout the county. And this is where that partnership with our pharmacies, that partnership with, for example, our community health center is going to be critical because they have the locations and staffing to make sure they deploy vaccination quickly and safely. Having said that, if you are a provider who has not yet onboarding, please go to the ADHS website to register your site. And we want to encourage every healthcare provider, particularly primary healthcare providers who are the first people to see patients for the most part, to go ahead and register. Being part of that onboarding process and completing that process certifies you to be able to receive vaccine directly. And that's what we want. We want multiple sites throughout the county so that patients can go to their primary care physician, they can go to their local pharmacy, they can go to their local clinic network. So again, that onboarding process is a little time consuming, so the sooner you start it, the sooner you're ready to go. And as we get an allocation, additional allocations, we can ensure that we share those allocations with you. So please make sure you do that. On that note, a huge thank you to, I've said that our university students have done an awesome job. They've helped us with contact tracing, they've helped us with testing sites, and now they're helping us with vaccine administration. So again, huge thank you to Arizona Western College and NAU Yuma nursing students who have been there in the front lines. It's good experience for them. It allows them to be part of the process and get some good experience and allows us to move through the process quickly. So in addition to our NAU and AWC students, we've had retired nurses that have reached out and have helped. We have paramedics. So it's been a true community response, and that's incredibly encouraging. But again, these students are going to start going back to school. So again, we're going to continue to need the public's or healthcare professionals' help in distributing that vaccine, and that's why it's important that physicians start signing up their own practices so that they can have that available as we continue to move forward. Again, we're looking to add additional staff to make sure that we continue to make that deployment quick, efficient, and safe. But again, as we get everybody on board, it just helps as far as availability and location and accessibility. So please do that. As you know, Governor Ducey signed an additional executive order. This one is requiring that we post the number of vaccines. The local health department as well as the state health department will post vaccine allocation as well as how many vaccines have been administered. It will also put vaccination sites, which will provide the public with a way to know where they can go and make their appointment to go get their vaccine. So again, it's about increasing transparency and distribution. The CVS, Walgreens, CDC partnership is a partnership where these pharmacies are going into skilled nursing facilities to provide vaccination. That officially kicked off last Monday and is continuing probably for the next 3 months as part of ensuring an additional rapid distribution across the state, looking to continue to partner with those pharmacies to ensure, again, that the general public, once we move to the 1B, has access to vaccination at their local pharmacy. Again, I want to remind the public that these vaccines are free and they're accessible, they're safe. And if you have any concerns, please discuss them with your primary care physician. I understand that that's a very personal decision, so we just want to make sure that people know where they can get information. We will continue to post information on our Facebook page and in our daily updates, so the public is welcome to check into those. and make sure that they know where, they can go get their vaccine and any information. We have links to the actual vaccine. Again, for the most part, our initial allocation was of Moderna vaccine. In the future, we could get Pfizer, or we could get a different type of vaccine as it gets approved, but for right now, that's the vaccination that we're working with. Having said that, is there any questions I can answer?
I do. I have some questions. I know, Lynn, you have some questions too. I have questions about the process. First of all, the number of vaccines, they are dual doses. Are we giving people a doses and saving the second one, or is it you giving them in hopes that they'll get the second one when the next shipment comes in? How have that been handled?
That's an excellent question. So when we got our first allocation, which is the 4,800 allocation, the government, the CDC, sets aside that second allocation. So we will receive that second allocation or be allowed to order it within the next couple of weeks so that it's available for the people that already received their first dose. And then they received an appointment card, and if you registered through the portal and made your appointment, you should get a reminder email. But that's automatically set aside.
So you receive 4,800 and you're assured of 4,800
Yes.
more to at least be able to inoculate the second or give the second dose of that vaccine.
Correct. The second dose is automatically set aside, so yes, it's guaranteed.
Is there are you going to know, or are they going to let you know when you're going to get more vaccines other than the 4,800?
Yes, so we actually received an additional notification that we received an additional vaccine. We received an additional 1,000 doses, which again, we're sharing with those providers that have onboarded. And so once they receive their vaccine, we will post those names of those providers on our website per the executive order so people know that that vaccine will be available. Again, 1,000 doses is not a lot of doses, but again, we want people to onboard so that we can provide it at different locations so that regardless of where you live, you can access it, and it's not just about coming down to our clinic at the health department, but that means there's hopefully a provider locally where you live that has that vaccine.
Are the vaccines going to be distributed on obviously not on a first-come basis, but are they going to require that either the first ones, right? The first priority are for healthcare workers, people who take care of elderly. That's pretty much limited to that. When are you moving into the second phase?
So we're wrapping up our 1A, and again, that was, we want everybody to come in, and then we're hoping to move in as early as next week to the 1B so that we can start phasing in that priority population, particularly the 75-year and older, our teachers, and all our essential workers. So once we move into that phase, again, we're going to have additional discussion this week, so hopefully by the end of the week we can post that. But yes, the 1A is a lot easier. You know who the healthcare providers are. We allocated directly to several of our medical networks to facilitate that. The 1B is a broader audience, so again, we want to prioritize our 75 and older population, but we will announce that. But we probably will move into it within the beginning of maybe next week.
So that brings in the question: 75 and older, are they going to be required to go through a doctor, or is it just a matter of proving your age?
So they will receive, they will have a link and they'll register, and there'll be a questionnaire on there. Well, they will answer the questions, particularly about their age and if they're eligible. Very similar to the 1A priority population filled out. Mm-hmm. And so again, this pre-screening questionnaire will lead you to answer those questions.
So the answer to that is not that you will need a doctor to send you. It's more filling in the questionnaire and making sure you qualify.
Right, and then what happens is when you register on the site, you get very similar to what we did when we did testing facility, where you get a barcode and a ticket, and it allows us to just scan the information and speed process. We're so used to doing these mass vaccines events where we just go through the process really quickly. In this particular instance, we have to account for for the social distancing, and we have to allocate the vaccine in multiple people so that we speed up the process. So it looks a little different. And again, that's why we want more people to onboard, more private physicians, so that that process can go by faster for all those people. And as vaccine gets allocated, and we get notified as soon as there's a shipment that we're eligible to receive, and that could be on a weekly basis, that could be every 2 weeks. But we will be posting that to answer your question on our website as well.
Okay, Supervisor Pancrazy?
A lot of folks who are 75 and over do not have access to or don't know how to use a computer. How will those folks be able to sign up for vaccine?
Those are things that we've thought about that as well. And so we're working with the state health department because obviously that's not an issue that's specific to us. And so we anticipated that as well as being an issue. So we're working with the state so that we can have some sort of statewide strategy. Not everybody has an 8-year-old or a teenager that can help. Yeah. So we need to work on that. That's why it's important also the CVS partnership and the pharmacy partnership, because that allows those patients to be able to just go to their pharmacy if they meet their criteria, as well as their personal care physicians, or when you're talking about clinics like Sunset, they can make the appointment to go get their vaccine and get it there. And so those onboarding processes look different, but yes, that's why we want to diversify to make sure that we address any barrier similar to what you're describing so that the vaccine is accessible and there's no delays.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Sure, Ms.
I just had a question, more or less. How's the acceptance been of it?
It's been very well received. So we've had a lot of inquiries. We've had inquiries from people that are currently not eligible under the 1A, but they expressed their interest to receive them. And they've said, well, I know I'm still like a month away or 3 weeks away, so please just tentatively, schedule me in. And we unfortunately can't do that. But it's been very encouraging. And again, we want people to, our job is to make sure that we have the vaccine available, that it's accessible to you, that you can get it when you need it. But again, we want to encourage people. It's a very safe vaccine, but we want to encourage people to, again, look into that and make the best possible decision for you and your family. But it's been positive, very positive so far.
And then they're looking at, you said 1B rollout next week or the week after?
We're hoping to start phasing in into 1B. Again, we have to work with the state health department to make sure, we have the capacity to do that. But we're hoping that everybody that's under 1A makes their appointment. And again, if you're in that priority group and you don't get vaccinated this week, you continue to have that opportunity to get vaccinated. We just will open it up to expand. The goal is to make sure we make it available to people that want it. And there's some people that are hesitating and they want to wait a little bit. And again, that's understandable, but we need to move on and we need to expand that criteria so that everybody else that's waiting and not currently in that priority group can access the vaccine. And then as we expand, everybody that was previously eligible will continue to be eligible, but we'll just blend in with everybody else in the process.
Do you have any concerns about availability of vaccine? I mean, once you start opening up, I mean, you may get into a situation where 1,000 or 2,000 may not be enough.
And that's correct. So our challenge, right now what we're saying is we want everybody in that 1A to come get vaccinated because we have that vaccine. When we open up to 1B, obviously that group is a very expansive group. And so that will depend again on availability. So there will be, in that instance, we will just give the vaccine, and then as more comes in, open it up. So at that point, it will be about availability of vaccine. So that is definitely a concern, and one that as we move to the other prioritization groups will continue to be a concern. And so we're hopeful that, we're encouraged by that positive reception. And again, our job is going to be to make sure that we post that information so that as soon as we get additional shipments and they're allocated to other community partners, that information is there so residents can go and make those appointments because it's going to be limited by availability of vaccine.
Now, the other issue, and I know Supervisor Pancrazy, you're going to ask a question, but the other issue to me is, are you in the health department ready with the staffing necessary to run an operation of that size? Because he may increase dramatically if that is available. Are you capable of handling a surge?
So we are looking for more staff, and yes, we've reached out to Human Resources because we definitely will need assistance getting additional staff. And again, it's not just the vaccination piece. We're doing contact tracing, we're doing resource requests, we're distributing PPE, we're assisting. Right now, we scaled down the testing, the rapid testing that we were providing for first responders and teachers and some of that essential critical infrastructure workforce. But we continue to push out rapid tests to those groups. We've been training them. We do resource requests. So for example, we work with the state health department. We're having additional nurses come to Yuma Regional Medical Center, those requests for additional staffing come through our office. And so it's all the additional work in addition to this. So yes, we are hoping to work with human resources to onboard additional staff.
And you're financially capable of handling that.
Yes, and we have. We've done a really good job of saving and applying for grants, and so we have the capacity to do that based on that.
Okay, so, and you're not, I mean, this is a very difficult environment where you're competing with a lot of people for those people who are in the health field. Are you capable of then competing at the private sector level?
Again, that's where we're working. Those are all challenges, and that's why we are going to need to work really closely with our human resource department to make sure we continue that outreach. Like I said, right now we've been very fortunate that we had that influx of student volunteers, and they've been great. But again, they're going back to school, so we're really going to need people, retired personnel who want to, on board to help us with this process, or additional students that are just graduating that are looking to be part of the front line of this vaccination deployment strategy, as well as contact tracing and some of the other critical functions that are, making sure we transition through this pandemic the best we can.
All right, Supervisor Pancrase, you have a question?
Advertising. How are you going to advertise when B1 comes out and when the next group comes out? How are you going to advertise that and to make sure that everybody who qualifies knows what group they're in and when they get to have a vaccine?
So we will, when we transition to the 1B officially, we will issue a press release, but we will also, I encourage everybody to look at our Facebook page, as well as looking at our daily updates, because we will definitely notify that then. Our media partners have done an excellent job of keeping the public informed, and that's critical, because I realize that some people look at Facebook, some people listen to the radio, some people watch the evening news. So when that press release goes out, all those media partners will do what they have been doing so far, and they will advertise it. Again, we will post it and we will do updates. But yes, at this point, it's about, you can have the best resource in the world or the best service in the world, but if people don't know about it, it's really not helping anyone. So this is about transparency and sharing of communication as soon as it's available and ready.
Any questions from the supervisors? Nothing, Mr. Lyons? Nothing, Mr. Simmons?
Are you confident that you'll have all the doses that you need?
That's going to be a challenge, honestly, because we are getting smaller allocations as we go. In an effort to vaccinate more people, you might see the state distribute directly to some of these pharmacies to go into the skilled nursing facilities and our nursing homes, which honestly are the populations that have experienced the highest disease burden. And if that happens, then that happens off the top of the state's allocation, but rightfully so, because we're vaccinating those people that are at greatest risk, and then the rest of us are going to, have a smaller allocation, and then we'll have to work through our prioritization guidelines. So that'll be a challenge. But again, the goal is to protect the most vulnerable, and if it means that an additional allocation goes out directly before we see it to those nursing homes, it would be to our county either way. But that helps with the distribution. That makes sure that those residents in our community, our grandparents, the people that are currently experiencing those medical issues are protected. Then it achieves that goal, just in a different way. But yes, that'll be challenging.
Any other questions?
Just one more.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Martin.
Martin, go ahead.
Yes, Diana, like in Somerton and San Luis, we don't have any pharmacies. Well, we have Sunset, but you mentioned Sunset, and I imagine they'll get not a lot of those vaccines. But how are we gonna, or who checks on to make sure that those 75-year and older are the ones that really gonna get it?
So when we distribute to additional, our partners, our clinical partners, whether it be Sunset or your primary care physician, they are making those appointments as the vaccinator, and they will verify that. And we've been very lucky, as you said, there's not pharmacies in Somerton and San Luis, but we have Sunset, who, from the very beginning, they set up the first testing center, they continue to do testing, and they serve a large segment of our population, particularly our most vulnerable residents. And so they are ready to go. They've been vaccinating, and they're on standby to make sure that they deploy that. I had a conversation with them They've done an excellent job. And so again, we will make sure, this is about equality and access, and Sunset, to your point, has locations in East County and South County and here in Yuma. So those are the key partnerships that where we want to make sure that when we get vaccine, we allocate to them directly so that they can start vaccinating those populations throughout Yuma County. They have equitable representation throughout the county.
How do you, Diane? Oh, go ahead, Martin. Supervisor Porcher.
Just one more question. Will they they put a notice or send out notice to their patients, or how would that be notified to the
So we're going
residents?
to work through those details, but we, as part of the executive order, will post on our website the following locations in Yuma County are providing vaccination. And so we will cite those questions. We will have to reach out to those clinics and those private physicians and those different clinical networks so that they can identify either a phone number or what process they are going to have for people to contact them directly to schedule their appointment. But we will be posting that on our website as well. And so as we allocate that vaccine to those entities, we're going to ask those entities to prominently display or reach out to their patients, or as well reach out to the public and say, this is the process at our facility, so that people know when they're eligible and how to schedule their appointment.
Okay. That it, Supervisor Borges?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Let me ask you a couple of questions that have to do with the fact that we're a border area.
Yes.
And that we've got thousands of farm workers crossing every morning from Mexico. Now, has anybody thought about how we're going to handle that kind of influx from outside? I mean, we may be vaccinating people here, but then we've got people coming in all the time that are not necessarily, that they don't have necessarily available to them the vaccine. So we need to start working on some sort of a program that vaccinate those people. Otherwise, we're going to, it's like everything. I've always said that border is just a physical border, but it doesn't stop viruses or bacteria or any, it doesn't stop disease. So if we are able to be successful in vaccinating the majority of the people in this county, but we have thousands of people coming in every morning, it's going to be a situation that it's going to be difficult to contain or to, even to analyze it. So, I'd like to just plant that seed that we need to start working with some sort of a joint effort with the farm workers, with the farming community to deal with that. Because essentially, I think that's going to be a very big, large flaw in the system, in the vaccinating system. If we can actually get to the point where we have, a large percentage of people vaccinated, we're still going to have a lot of people just coming in, sort of breaking that chain.
Right. Okay. And to your point, it's something that we've been thinking about. And again, this is why we want to make sure we onboard additional providers, so that, once we open it up to 1B, what we're going to look at for a vaccine deployment to be successful is we're going to have to look at different partners, similar to the CVS Walgreens partnership where they're going in and vaccinating. We're going to have to schedule clinics similar to that, so that, maybe we go to the school because the teachers can't come, for our correction facility staff, that live in congregate settings. We're going to have to do something similar to that for our farm workers. So it's a lot of coordination. Again, that to Supervisor Lyons' point, will be limited by the vaccine availability. So as we move forward, those are all moving parts that we're trying to address, but that's going to have to go. I realize that, for example, our agricultural workers may not be able to just go online and leave their work site and go to an appointment. So that's going to require partnering with a community agency who has the capacity to go on site, or a pharmacy who has the capacity, or us, or somebody who has the capacity to go on site and provide that. Same thing for, some of our other essential workers who may not be able to just up and leave and make an appointment. So making sure it's accessible and making sure we onboard additional providers will make sure that we address some of those challenges. But again, as vaccine is limited, what those dosages look like, it'll be staggered, and there will be gaps in time between when we vaccinate groups.
I hate to sound negative about this, but the pace that we're going on will take us years to vaccinate the kind of numbers that we need to actually be effective. Something has to happen at the level of supply that needs to be addressed, because if you have 4,800 vaccines and it takes you a month to apply all over, and you got partners and you got people. That pace is not really the pace that we need to keep up. We have to find a better way to deliver this to the majority of people that want it. And it's going to be another issue. The people who may not want it, it's going to be another issue. So I commend you for trying to find ways to move the process, and I wish the state would get into a situation where they would say, look, at a certain point you dealt with the health, with the health providers. At a certain point you dealt with people who are considered essential. But at some particular point, you're going to have to open it up so that people who want it can get it. And that's going to be an issue of demand, supply and demand. It's not going to be an issue of being able to do this because the Walgreens, the Rite Aids, whatever, they're all going to have that it's availability. It's an availability issue. I'm sure that most people would want to get the vaccine if the vaccine was available, but they have to wait in line. I want to commend you for taking in this challenge. Well, I don't know if you could refuse to take the challenge, but I mean, it's still going to be. There's a lot of moving pieces to this, and just keep us informed, and hopefully the residents of Yuma County will have the patience to wait and see and understand that you're trying every possible way to make sure that the vaccine is accessible, but you have to meet certain guidelines, and so.
And the challenge initially, to your point, again, with the healthcare providers, it was very specific. We really, truly, we got it on the 22nd, so the vaccination clinics haven't been going on that long. There was staggering among those providers because you want to make sure you do portions of your group in case, anybody, wasn't there, or they had staffing, they're working, they're running their clinics, they're doing so. Once we open up to the general population, hopefully, again, it'll go a lot faster because you won't have those limitations. But to your point, it's going to be about availability, and our job's just to make sure we push the vaccine out to as many eligible providers as possible so that when they have it, they can make it available, and we can just keep moving through our phases quickly.
I haven't seen the form that people have to fill in. Is it a one page? Is it a five?
They go online, and it's a questionnaire, and it for example, for the healthcare providers, it asks you specific healthcare questions regarding your work and the nature of your work. And so I haven't seen the 1B, again, because you have to be eligible, register, and so it opens up, but I imagine it'll be similar. But again, if you are a healthcare provider and you want to be a point of vaccination, please onboard, please go, and we will send that information again. We've sent it out multiple times for the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months, making sure people were onboarded. We will send it again. We want you to get onboarded, and even if we get a small allocation and we distribute it throughout the county, even if you have a couple of doses, the more people we have vaccinating in more locations, the more accessible it is. I don't want transportation to be an issue, or because you have to come to this venue or that venue. We want to make sure it's accessible throughout the county. And to your point, again, the technology issue are things that we have to address, and we have to work to figure out with partners how to do those types of vaccination events as well.
All right.
Just one quick question. You said that some vaccinations may come into other entities within the county, the pharmacies, or to the homes or whatever. But you're still notified of any vaccines that come into the county. They still come through the health department,
Yes.
Or you're aware of whatever comes into the county.
And we will post that on our website. Right now, we are the allocator, so right now we see who's onboarded, and we know that if you're onboarded, we can go ahead and directly allocate it so that you get it directly at your site versus us getting it and transferring it. But as we move forward, that might change, and they might be able to get it directly without having to go through us. But we will still know, and we will still post who has it, where it's at, and who you need to contact.
All right, well, we kept you up here for a while. Any last questions? Thank you very much, and send our thanks to your staff, because I'm sure that, it's a team effort out there. I've seen some of the setups you have in the parking lot in front of the health department. It's like, it's like the whole setup for this, so it's going to take some time. And whatever we can do to help, just make sure you let us know, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Diana.
And, all right. Okay, it's our item, it's a discussion and action item. I don't know if we need to take any action. It's mostly an update on activities and so forth, but thank you very much. And I'm sure you need it back at the office. So we're gonna move on to the next item in the agenda, which is for the clerk of the board, well, for us, action to appoint members of the board of supervisors to the following boards and commissions for calendar year 2021. There are different items or different boards that get appointed different ways. There are ones that are appointed by the board and as a whole, and there are ones that the chairman appoints individual members. This is the part where I think a lot of people miss about being a supervisor, that it involves serving on a few boards, at least for every member, a few boards where you have to represent the county and issues of importance to the residents of the county. So I'm going to move on to the first item in the board is, in the agenda for appointments is the appointments that are the board appointments. The first one is the Western Arizona Economic Development District Board, La Paz, Mojave, and Yuma County. On that one, I serve as the appointed member to that board, and in reality, I'm the only one that has ever served as the appointed member to that board, and it was a board that really wasn't doing much until lately. Lately, with this COVID situation, there's been a lot of action in regards to helping businesses, and this board has taken a much more active role in that, and it's a 3-county board, so there's a representative from Mojave County, a representative from La Paz County, and a representative from Yuma County. If you don't mind, I'd like to continue representing the board on that commission. So I'll entertain a motion in a second to appoint Tony Reyes as the representative for the Board of Supervisors, Yuma County Board of Supervisors, and the Western Area Economic Development District Board.
So moved.
Is there a second? There's been a motion and a second. I'll entertain a motion to close nominations, I guess.
Make a motion to close the nominations?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now I'll take a vote on the appointment itself. All those in favor of the appointment of Tony Reyes as a member of the Western Arizona Economic Development District Board signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. And now we go to the Yuma Metropolitan Planning Organization Executive Board. The 2 appointees that are serving there is Lynn and Martin. Does anybody have any particular problems, or does anybody want to appoint someone else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to appoint those 2 members or reappoint those 2 members. If they want to, do you guys want to continue serving?
I'm okay, yes.
I'm the 3rd vice president now for CSA, and Jonathan owns a business.
Oh, this is not the economic,
Oh.
this is the Metropolitan Planning Organization.
Oh, yes, I do.
YEDC is what Jonathan wants to be serving on.
Got it. I want that.
All right.
Yes.
So if there's no problems, I'll entertain a motion to appoint Martin Porcias and Lynn Pancrasi to the Yuma Metropolitan Planning Organization.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's been motion and second to appoint Supervisor Porcias and Supervisor Pancrasi to the Yuma Metropolitan Planning Organization to continue serving on that board.
YMPO, yes.
All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that takes care of those 2 appointments. And now we move on to the chairman appointing members to serve on the following boards and commissions for calendar year. The Chamber of Commerce Legislative Affairs Committee, I think that the appointees there are Lynn and who? Yeah, Lynn and Louis McLeod. So do you mind, Jonathan, serving on that board?
I would like to serve on that board.
Okay, so I'll appoint Lynn Pancrasi as the primary and Jonathan Lyons as the alternate for the Chamber of Commerce Legislative Affairs Committee. On the Chamber of Commerce, what's the next one? Chamber of Commerce Transportation Committee. Lynn, you still going to continue serving there? Okay, then I'll appoint Lynn Pancrasi to serve there. On the County Supervisors Association Legislative Policy Committee, it used to be McLeod was the voting one and Lynn was the alternate. I'd like to appoint Lynn as the voting member and Jonathan Lyons as the alternate. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, then that's the appointment for that. The Elections Advisory Committee, I think Martin Porcias and Darren Simmons, both supervisors were appointed there. Would you like to continue there? Is that okay with you, Martin?
Yes, that's
Okay,
fine with
then
me.
I'll appoint those 2 members to serve on the Elections Advisory Committee. The Greater Yuma Economic Development Corporation, this is the appointment that Jonathan specifically, Supervisor Lynn specifically wanted to get appointed to it. The appointments there are Martin Porchas and Jonathan Lyons. Would you guys be okay with serving on that?
Yes.
All right, so I'll appoint those two to that one, those two members. And the Local Emergency Planning Committee, I think Simmons was appointed there, Supervisor Simmons. Would you like to continue there?
Yes.
So you get appointed to that one. The Local Workforce Development Board liaison, Lynn, you were appointed to that. Would you like to continue with that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so you get appointed as a liaison to the Local Workforce Development Board. The Western Arizona Council of Governments Executive Board, I think that I was appointed there, I appointed myself, I guess, or somebody appointed me there. And Portia's was my second or my alternate. I'll appoint myself and Mr. Portia's to continue serving in that board. The Yuma Resource Water Management Group, I think that was
Me and Lynn.
Yeah.
Lynn and Mr. Simmons. Would you like to continue there?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
then I'll appoint you two to continue serving on the Yuma Resource Water Management Group, the Yuma Crossing Heritage Area Corporation. Where is it?
Me.
Okay, so you want to continue serving there? Okay, I'll
want it,
reappoint Lynn Pancrassi to serve on the Yuma Crossing National Heritage Area Corp, unless somebody else wants to.
Yeah, Jonathan,
You want to?
let Jonathan.
Okay,
learn
then
about
I'm
it,
gonna
yeah.
switch that.
He'll
Let the
learn,
record
yeah.
reflect that I will appoint, instead of Lynn, I will appoint Jonathan Lyons to Yuma Crossing National Heritage Area Corporation.
It's a good group.
The Yuma, let me see, let me move on to the next page here. And that's it, isn't it? Those are the ones that get appointed. There will be other appointments that come in as terms expire. We will deal with them when they come in, but these are the appointments that I think we can make today to cover everything that we need to cover today, right?
Yeah,
Is there
I'm,
anything else?
There's one more on here that,
Which one?
the Western Arizona Council of Governments Regional Council on Aging.
Yeah, you were representative there, weren't you?
I was, and I'd like to stay there.
All right, fine,
That's a
then,
good
if that requires
organization.
an appointment, I don't think it requires an appointment, but if at all, if it does, I'll have Lynn continue to be our representative there,
Okay, thank you.
okay? There may be some other ones. I'm sure that there will be some reappointments to for example, the building review team or something, because.
The design review
Yeah,
team
design
for
review
the
team,
board auditorium.
and there may be some other ones, but when they come in, we'll make them as soon as, we define them, okay? That will take care of most of the appointments, all the appointments that we have in the agenda,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that and the Fair Board.
okay?
And
Or
the
the
fair-
Anything else that anybody can think of that I missed, or that, remember, this is not the end of it, we can do it at the next board meeting if possible, or if needed. So that takes care of all the appointments that I have in front of me. We will continue then with discussion regarding legislative issues. Number one is county administration discussion and possible action regarding the following legislative items: a report to the Board of Supervisors regarding proposed bills in the Arizona State Legislature with impact to Yuma County, and update regarding strategies relating to federal legislative priorities. This will give Supervisor Lyons a pretty good sense of where we're at in terms of what issues the county's been pursuing. Some of them we've been pursuing for many years, and other ones are coming up new. Go ahead, Ian.
Chairman Reyes, members of the board, welcome Supervisor Lyons. My name's Ian McGahey. I'm the Deputy County Administrator. With the holidays, it's been a fairly quiet couple of weeks outside of the various federal battles, but I wanted to provide a brief update on a couple of items. 2 Sundays ago, the president, after threatening not to sign it, did sign the $900 billion COVID-19 economic relief package. By doing so, a partial federal government shutdown was averted and a period of uncertainty was ended for those counting on the relief. It's worth noting that Congress did not pass any additional direct flexible funding for state and local governments. However, the use of initial coronavirus relief funds has been extended to December 31st of 2021. This past Friday, the U.S. Senate joined the House of Representatives in voting to override the president's veto of the defense policy bill, a first by lawmakers in the Trump administration, ensuring that the measure becomes law. The bill affirms a 3% pay raise for U.S. troops and guides defense policy, including troop levels, new weapon systems and military readiness, and other military goals. The state of Georgia is holding 2 runoff elections for the U.S. Senate tomorrow, as no candidate had received a majority of votes in the 2 U.S. Senate elections the state held in 2020. The runoff elections will determine which party has a majority in the U.S. Senate. Democrats need to win both seats to split control of the chamber 50-50, and in a 50-50 scenario, the vice president breaks the tie, in which case after January 22nd, it will be a Democratic vice president. Republicans need to at least win 1 seat to maintain their majority. You may have received a year-end update from Patrick Cunningham, the Senior Advisor on Water Management Issues for High Ground regarding the Greenstone transfer. As you know, this is the potential transfer of Colorado River water in La Paz County to the town of Queen Creek for its growing residential demand. Greenstone, which is a subsidiary of financial services conglomerate Mass Mutual, is currently in discussions with the Arizona Department of Water Resources about what amount of water might be left on Greenstone land in La Paz County with such a transfer. If an agreement is reached, the matter will then be reviewed by the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation to assess compliance with the National Environmental Policy Act, otherwise known as NEPA. And interestingly, yesterday's Sunday New York Times had a very lengthy, detailed article about this issue and the general pressures from moneyed East Coast private investors to turn water into a traded commodity. The article notes that the president and co-founder of the hedge fund Water Asset Management has called the U.S. water business the biggest emerging market on earth and, quote, a $1 trillion market opportunity, end quote. Water Asset Management is currently investing broadly in Arizona and other western states, slowly amassing a large portfolio of water rights. As you know, the Arizona State Legislature convenes a week from today on Monday, January 11th. Some good news as they return to session comes from the Joint Legislative Budget Committee, who reports that revenues continue an upward trend, with general fund revenues from sales tax 9.1% above November of 2019, and overall year-to-date revenues approximately 7.7% higher than last year. And last week, as Diana mentioned, the governor issued Executive Orders 2020-61 and 2020-62. Order 61 extends driver license expiration dates for 1 year from the expiration date printed on the license for those drivers having an expiration date between March 1st of 2020 and February 20 of 2021. And as Diana also detailed, Order 62 relates to the distribution of vaccine and is requiring counties to display the vaccine distribution phase level and locations on their websites, and we will have that in place this week. Mr. Chairman, that's my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
This is going to be a very different, I think, year in terms of basically the lobbying that we normally did, back in March when we went to Washington. So because of all the changes, the Zoom, is there I shouldn't say is there a possible way, but we need to find a way to supplant that with a situation where the board members can get together and talk to our representatives, either through Zoom with their staff. In other words, we need to set it up so that at certain specific dates, and they don't have to be all in 1 week, they could be one every week, we actually meet through Zoom with our senators and our representatives and actually have a list of items that we want to pursue. In other words, we got to find a way to replace that trip with something else. And that something else, to me, it's probably more the digital way or the way that we've been handling most every other meeting. I just don't want to let that go by without us doing some lobbying for what's the word, what's the PILT? I was trying to figure out, so we can continue on pushing for, PILT to become an allocation that happens every year instead of having to beg for it every year, so that we have some issues with the border crossing, or we have issues, even COVID issues, support. We need to be able to do that. And I think that we need to, if at all, we can utilize the CSA's methods that I'm sure they're coming up with, but we need to find a way to replace that. And I think that that's probably going to be what I'd like you to embark on in the next couple of months, couple of 3 months. How do we do this? Do we do it weekly with, every once a week with one or twice a week or 3 times that same day? Maybe we can do it like we did it in a couple of days and just schedule them 2 or 3 hours apart. And as board members, we decide, okay, this is the week we're going to be doing our normal ask week. Okay?
Chairman Reyes, I think that's an excellent point. I'll work with CSA to facilitate those meetings.
I'm sure they're going to have to come up with something to replace their normal meeting in Washington type thing. Do you have any other comments for Ian? Now, the legislature is just about to come into session, so I'm sure you're gonna be busy figuring out what goes up there. But one of the things that came up, Ian, and I wanna keep it higher on your wish list, or not in the wish list, but on the issues that as a county we like to pursue, is that local, what do you call it, the local preference, when we bid out, what's it called?
Oh, yes, yes,
Local
our
bid.
ability to be able to
Yeah,
have.
we need to be able to, I mean, cities do it. I don't see why we can't ask the state legislature to pass a bill that says that we can do this, especially considering that this is probably not gonna be the last time we're gonna be dealing with issues like this. But-
Mr. Chair, and Ian, you might want to talk to John Smith because it's been tried before and we're going to have to go a different direction to be able to get it through because of constitutional issues. And so.
Well, the cities did it, so, I mean,
And, yeah, and Mr. Chair, there are going to be a bunch of election bills being dropped, I'm sure, and others that, so if you'll work with the recorder, the treasurer, and the assessor on some of those issues that are going to come up that are really going to impact Yuma County, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
all right. And I'm sure you have already met with Supervisor Lyons to sort of give him an update on what's going on. I didn't want to get him, at the same time you did. You need to soften him up a little bit for me, so when we meet, we can talk about some of this stuff. Well, thanks a lot, Ian, and I'm sure you're gonna do an excellent job. I know we're gonna miss Paul for a while, but I'm sure you can step right in and keep us informed and keep the ship in terms of the legislative issues going in the right direction.
I'll do my best.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
I was gonna use my Elvis Presley voice. Thank you very much. Didn't want to. So anyway, so we're going to go on to the current event calendar, current events, where board members and the county administrator will report on and may discuss events attended or to be attended on behalf of the county. You may present a brief summary of current events and may update the schedule for future board of supervisors meeting as appropriate. No legal action will be taken. I normally let Supervisor Pancrasi step in and start us off because she puts us all to shame because she's so busy all the time, but so we're gonna start it that way. It's New Year. Please do not take 20 minutes to tell us all the stuff you've done.
I have to admit, during these holidays, meetings have been slow. I haven't attended, there haven't been any meetings
Well, this
to
is good.
attend, so.
This is good news. So thank you very much for that quick response. I guess we're gonna go say, okay, we went through the holidays. Some of us went through other things. Supervisor Simmons.
I just had a couple election advisory board meeting, and I met with Jim, I hope I don't butcher his name, Schuessler, with the multi-university project. That's it.
Good. Supervisor Lyons, we're gonna, unless you wanna say something about how much you're prepared to come to the first meeting, we're gonna give you the time.
Well,
Have
actually, I
anything to
did meet
report?
with Jim Schuessler at the Multiversity and got a briefing from him. And I just wanted to make you aware, Mr. Supervisor, Mr. Chairman, that I also serve on the Arizona-Mexico Commission representing Yuma region. And we had a meeting, and lots going on in this region in order to kind of restore everything back to as normal as possible. And I'll give you further reports on that later.
You know what? That's encouraging because I've been struggling with the role of counties in the Arizona-Mexico Commission for a long time. I've always said that. I said I don't understand how you can have a Arizona-Mexico Commission or Arizona-Sonora Commission without taking into account that counties is what normally are together. Most of the areas that are bound in Mexico are county areas, and it's always surprised me how Pima County wasn't more active or Maricopa County wasn't more active in the Arizona-Mexico Commission. It was mostly a cities type situation, and I hope that you being a member and having been a long time member of that commission would understand how much power and influence would come into the Arizona-Mexico Commission if we had supervisors more involved in the process. And so this is a great opportunity as far as I'm concerned.
That was something that Juan Ciscomani, who represents the governor for Southern Arizona, brought up, in that I would be the first acting supervisor to be serving on the Arizona-Mexico Commission. And it's an interesting group of people from across the state, and there are people appointed from every region. They don't necessarily have to be or serve on one or in city government or in county government, but there are opportunities serving on the different committees within the Arizona-Mexico Commission for people to be more involved, and I have worked to try to get more people from Yuma County serving on those different committees, and I'll endeavor to do that.
Yeah, Russ Jones is getting old.
Russ Jones is the longest serving member of the Arizona-Mexico Commission that I think exists. Yeah.
I think Russ was part of the formation of the
He's
Mexico
outlived
Commission
many governors.
back in the 1930s or so.
Yes.
Well, anyway, Russ, good to hear from you. Anyway, thanks a lot for that
Yes, sir.
update. I just want to remind everybody that the January meeting, which normally falls on the 18th, is going to be moved to the 20th because of the Martin Luther King holiday. So don't show up on that Monday. Remember, it's Wednesday that week.
Don't forget Martine.
That's up to you. Martin, do you have anything to add?
No, but thank you for reminding me on for that next meeting on Monday. So I'll show up on Wednesday.
Yeah, I can tell you got something. All right, Susan.
There was a lull in meetings for county administration as well. We did have a couple of potluck events that were socially distanced and measured to celebrate the end of the year and welcome the new year. So we're looking forward to working with the new supervisor as well as the rest of the board on everything that you want to accomplish. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, we, again, go through a process, and I think that Mr. Lyons is going to be interested in finding out there's a budgetary process that we go through, that we need to make sure that we have a calendar for, the next meeting, maybe, start talking about the dates we meet and how we're going to handle that. Normally, that would be like a big meeting where all the department heads would be there. Two things I think that are worth mentioning right now. One is that we keep meeting in this particular place, which only allows one person to call in. We are not really set up for Zoom meetings here. So, I would like to research the possibility of moving these meetings over to the DDS Planning and Zoning Commission meeting hall, which is a little more designed to have meetings with more people in it, and it's got, the camera systems and so forth. I wasn't thinking much about that because I thought that by now we'd be moving forward with our new building, administration building. It would be in the sort of construction phase, but this is going to take a lot longer than we anticipated. So it may be wise for us to take a look at a better meeting location that allows us to have more of the technological stuff that we can't seem to be able to get into this place here. It seems that we're going to be researching that and get it back to you relatively soon.
And the main library also has all that.
There's a main
technology.
library. I'm sure there's meeting places that are a little, we're okay here. It's kind of cozy, but it really lacks a lot on the technical side, things, especially now that we have to get used to being able to conduct these meetings, sort of with some social distancing and I don't think we're going to get through COVID-19 for the next 6 to 12 months. I mean, I think that we need to get used to. 2020 was a tough year, is a tough year, but 2021 isn't shaping up to be much better from the beginning. Let me just tell you that right now. I mean, I know that we have like a light at the end of the tunnel, but that's a long tunnel we're looking at. It's not, like the light is right in front of us. I mean, if you can, from the conversations we've had with the health department, that vaccination process isn't going that well. When you have 4,800 vaccines for 225,000 people in Yuma County, that can't be a good number. I mean, I know some of us had it, and probably already have, some sort of immunological system update, but that's not gonna do it. I mean, I hate that, I didn't wanna, sort of put cold water in that presentation, but that pace of vaccination isn't nearly what we need to have for people who want to get vaccinated. It's really difficult for me to see how getting 1,000 more doses is going to, for the 1Bs, is going to be enough. We're talking about essential workers, teachers, and so forth. Oh, okay, I get it. Well, anyway, stopping that discussion, going back to.
I would like to make one more comment, and that is, as part of an orientation process for Supervisor Lyons, the County Attorney's Office is planning to do an open meetings law training session, but he also wanted to include all supervisors as a refresher. So we'll do that virtually by Zoom for everyone, so it will be more convenient, and they'll do a series of presentations and then also have a Q&A for you. But we'll be setting that up fairly soon.
Oh, and as a reminder to everybody, again, the photo session that is scheduled for Wednesday may have to be postponed if Supervisor Porches cannot attend. So just wanted to make everybody aware. I think everybody was aware, but just in case you missed that, we may have to postpone it until all members can attend. All right? Anything else? 1 minute of silence here. All right, if nothing else, that takes care of all the businesses we have to take care of this morning. So thank you very much, and have a happy new year, as happy as it can be, and hopefully we'll continue to have our meetings and be as healthy as possible. So